Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, I had a voice for radio. So today, I'm going to be showing you the new Espeon. Now, I just showed you a little while ago the new Umbreon. And I love the new Umbreon. I think it's a good little attacker, especially if you're hitting for darkness type weakness. And Umbreon's my favourite of the Pokemon that evolved from Eevee, so you know what? I've got a lot of love for Umbreon. But this Espeon could be a legitimately great card, which is kind of annoying, really. Because Espeon EX was awesome for devolving Pokemon. We saw it in a whole bunch of decks like Decidueye and even just some Garbodor decks at one point. And Espeon GX continues to see play, especially with Garbodor, which is awesome. And then, of course, like all the other evolutions, it's got the Energy Evolution Eevee from Sun and Moon, which says that when you attach a basic energy, you can search for a Pokemon that evolves from Eevee of the same type and evolve it. So you whack a Psychic Energy on Eevee here and you can just evolve straight up into an Espeon, which is very, very nice indeed. This basically makes Espeon a turn 1 option. Now, in my Umbreon video, we did very briefly mention this Eevee, and I said that it allows you to drop the Umbreon as a bit of a surprise attacker. But with Espeon, it becomes so much more important, because the first attack is a setup attack. Now, if we have a quick look at the basics here, we can see it's got 90 HP, which is low. It's a stage 1 that in expanded can be grabbed with Level Ball. It's a very low HP, but it won't be KO'd by Espeon GX's Psybeam. That's about the nicest thing we can say, though Garbodor will have a field day. The good news is, you got a retreat cost of 1, which is very low and will be free if you play a skateboard, and you're hitting weakness on Psychic weak Pokemon. So something like a Buzzwole, which should see a lot of play, something like a Naganadel, which could see a lot of play, something like an Acrozma, which could see a lot of play, or indeed, something like a Garbodor. So actually, yeah, you're weak to Psychic, but you're hitting weakness on it as well, which is nice. So what does it do? Well, our translation here is brought to you by the lovely David Hockman. Who else? And the first attack says draw 3 cards. There are several things I like about this. I mean, firstly, this is Lapras's attack, right? And I know Lapras wasn't played just for this. Although, weirdly, there was a version of Lapras where you would just use Collect, heal with Rough Seas, and then use stuff like Crushing Hammer. But you had 190 HP in Rough Seas, Espeon doesn't, so let's not worry too much about that. But you can just draw 3 cards. This is a nice turn 1 attack. You go second, you can get it going straight away because of Eevee, and then you just draw 3 cards. It's fine. It's not some kind of game-breaking attack. It's not going to win you the game, but it's going to give you a leg up. It's going to hopefully mean that you've got the cards you need next turn to go. If you start and you've got nothing in your hand, no Cynthia, no supporter, and you're staring down your opponent who's had a much better start, one thing you need more than anything else is just cards. You need cards. So being able to just attach a Psychic Energy to Eevee, immediately evolve it into Espeon, and then draw 3 cards is going to give you a chance to actually get rolling here. Playing it just for this attack, I'm slightly unsure of, because it's too much real estate. Now, maybe if you're playing an Espeon GX deck and this becomes literally a 1-card deck, then that's all well and good. Otherwise, I'm slightly unconvinced. I don't think this is a reason to play the card. I think there are other things we can use in terms of consistency to get rolling. But I love the main attack here, more on that in a second. And then this first attack is just a lovely bonus. Draw 3 cards. That's what you do. It's great. It's a brilliant bonus. As an attack to play a Pokemon for, as a bonus for a Pokemon you're playing anyway, it's phenomenal. And if we didn't have the Energy Evolution Eevee, or when it rotates out, I'm not such a fan. Because if you've got to have a turn, then evolve this and essentially use this on your second turn, it's way too slow. But using it on your first turn of the game going second, yes. All of the yes. Now, as for this main attack, to which I keep referring, what does it do? Well, according to David, this attack does 20 damage, plus 20 more for each energy your opponent has in play. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. That is awesome. And the translation we have from David is energy, not energy card. That means that double colorless energy will count double. Counter energy will count double if your opponent is behind on prizes only. And super boost energy will count quadruple if it's attached to a stage 2 and your opponent has 2 other stage 2s in play. To be completely blunt here, your opponent ain't playing a super boost energy while you've got an Espeon on the field, because it gives you an extra 80 damage. And this is awesome. We've got some decks in the format at the moment that love attaching lots of energy. We've got other decks in the format that are weak to Psychic. And Espeon here is great against all of those decks. And that's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. You are going to get some wins with this deck. It's that good of an attack. Now, let's say we're against something like Rayquaza. You can put your opponent in basically a no-win situation. Because let's say you're playing something like Espeon. Your opponent is going to want to put 7 energy on the field so that they can hit for 210 and get a one-hit KO. Problem is, if they put 8 energy on the field, then with a choice band you get a one-hit KO. So what does your opponent do? Your opponent goes, well, I'm not falling for that. I am only going to put 7 energy on the field so you can't get a one-hit KO. So then you bring in something like a Dedenne for argument's sake. You get a one-hit KO on the Rayquaza, and then they lose all of their energy. You see, what Rayquaza really wants to do here is get lots of energy on the field so that if they end up getting a Rayquaza KO'd, they've still got enough energy to keep taking prizes. By using something like an Espeon here, you can basically say to your opponent, either you don't put enough energy on the field to get a KO, I'm cool with this, or you do put enough energy on the field to get a KO, and then I'm going to take advantage with Espeon. And that's what's awesome here. And then, of course, let's remember, right, I'm talking about all these calculations. Let's say your opponent has 7 energy on a Rayquaza. That's 140. You put a choice band on 170. You drop a Shrine of Punishments. Then you're up to 180 and you're actually getting the KO here. And your opponent's only alternative is to 2-hit KO, which is not what Rayquaza wants to do. And that's where you come in. It's such a good attack. Let's say you're against something like a Buzzwole. Well, there, it's actually 40 damage per energy. So let's say your opponent gets 3 energy on a Buzzwole. Then you're doing, well, 60 times 2 is 120. But if you add a choice band, it's 90 times 2, which is 180. And once again, we're in this super awkward 10 HP remaining scenario, so that's where Shrine of Punishment can come in here. So you can potentially, with a choice band and a Shrine of Punishment, get a one-hit KO on a Buzzwole. And here's the thing, right? I'm not saying a free energy Buzzwole. I'm saying a Buzzwole when there are 3 total energy in play. So how does your opponent play around Espeon? Well, I'm just not going to attach energy to the field. If your opponent goes and plays 2 Beast Rings at once, that basically gives you a couple fairly safe turns, should at least, of KOing Buzzwole with a single prize Pokemon. So what do? They go, ha ha ha, I'm on to you, Espeon. I'm not gonna play my Beast Ring, so you don't get to get KOs on me. If your opponent's best answer is not playing one of the best cards in their deck, that is such a wonderful, wonderful situation for you to be in. And I'm just giving you a couple of examples here. Rayquaza and Buzzwole do stand out to me as decks that really will take advantage of this. But how about Malamar? We just saw Malamar take 2nd place at the World Championships, using attackers like Mewtwo GX, weak to Psychic, Marshadow, weak to Psychic. And the great thing is here that the whole point of a Malamar deck is trying to accelerate a whole bunch of energy onto the field, which you are then taking advantage of. This Espeon could legitimately be a great, great card. And look, I'm sitting here talking to you about big GX KOs, but I don't know, maybe you're against a Garbodor. Well, if Garbodor's got 3 energy on the field in total, you're getting a one-hit KO. And Garbodor's a pain, right? So you can get it off the board. It's not just GXs here. It does need to be Psychic Energy, but the fact that you've got Energy Evolution Eevee, that's great. The fact that it's a single energy, that's great. And the fact that you're hitting maybe the best weakness in the game, while taking advantage of Pokemon that use a lot of energy, like Rayquaza, that's great. I'm giving this 4 Wassies, and honestly, ladies and gentlemen, I feel like I might be underselling it a bit. I feel like it might actually be deserving of more than 4 Wassies. I think it's that good of a card. And I think any deck playing Psychic Energy really does need to consider this. I'm not saying that it's going to be a must-play in every Psychic deck, but I am saying that a heck of a lot of Psychic decks could really take advantage of this. And yeah, Garboda's a great Pokemon if your opponent plays lots of item cards. So, if they know you're playing Garboda, they're not going to play many items. Well, if they know that you're playing Espeon, they're not going to play many energy. So they're not playing many items, they're not playing any energy. They ain't doing very much of much, ladies and gentlemen. I like this card. But it's time for me to end my rambling and ask you what you think about Espeon. Are you as excited about this card as I am, or do you think there are better Psychic Pokemon we'll just end up playing instead? Go nuts in the comment section, but do remember the most important rule, ladies and gentlemen. Be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And do check out my other channel, Wassy Plays, for Dragon Ball Super and Transformers TCG action. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves. Until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.